Well, how's it going, man? How's it going, people? Hopefully, everyone's having a wonderful day here. You know, I kind of pulled a Joe Biden in my garage. What I mean by that is I kind of tripped over some stuff, and I didn't fall down, but I kind of tripped over myself. But what am I talking about? Why am I talking about Joe Biden, the fall guy, falls again? And why it matters? Because he's our president. He seems to have an issue with falling. But I actually want to start this off with Donald Trump back in June 15, 2020. Why Donald Trump West Point ramp story actually matters. We're going to go watch this video. Come on, where is it? There we go. Where he's like slowly walking down because the type of shoes he's wearing, and it's a steep ramp. I mean, that's enough of that. I don't want to hear them. Let's see here. Trump has also repeatedly had trouble with General Douglas MacArthur's name. Trump descended the ramp extremely careful at the end of his West Point speech today. Trump, because he's Trump, responded to the criticism late Saturday night with this tweet. The ramp that I descended after my West Point commencement speech was very long and steep and had no handrails and was most importantly very slippery. The last thing I was going to do was fall for the fake news to have fun with it. The final 10 feet I ran down to level ground momentum. By responding, Trump took what might have been a Twitter only story and turned it into a much broader and longer one with the majority of the newspapers covering it. Worth knowing, the Washington Post story reporter Phil Rucker wrote, Trump claims that the ramp had been very slippery. It was inconsistent with the weather, which Saturday in West Point was sunny and clear sky. The grass plane on which the commencement took place was dry. It really doesn't matter. I mean, it was slippery. It was the very type of shoes he was wearing. Trump is 74. The president turned 74 on Sunday. He's the oldest president ever elected to a first term in the White House. Earlier this month, the White House released a memo as results at Trump's annual physical that only briefly outlined an overall picture of his health, height, weight, etc. Did not mention an unscheduled trip to Walter Reed Hospital by Trump on November 19th, which the White House later said was simply part of the presidential annual physical. Trump's medical past is a total mystery, as I written recently. We know less about Trump's medical history than any previous modern day president. To the extent of Trump's medical records prior to being elected in 2016 came from the form of a single letter from his personal physician in 2015 that read, in part, if elected, Mr. Trump can state unequivocally and will be the healthiest individual ever elected to the presidency, with his physical strength and stamina are extraordinary. The doctor later said that Trump dictated a letter to him and that two Trump associates had seized the president's medical records from him in 2017 after he told the New York Times that Trump took medicine to grow his hair, probably Rogaine. This year, Trump makes his opponent's health a major issue, which is also true. I mean, Hillary wasn't doing too well. Let's see, Trump sent a letter attacking former Vice President Joe Biden, who was 77 years old, as weak and shot, part of his deliberate strategy on behalf of the president, was repeatedly suggested that Biden is losing it or has lost mental capacity. I mean, it appears that he was right. It says, wow, Sleepy Joe doesn't know where he is or what he's doing, Trump tweeted in March. Honestly, I don't think he even knows what office he's running for. Biden can't do it, Trump said in an interview last month. He doesn't know he's alive. And Trump did the exact same thing during the 2016 campaign against Hillary Clinton, particularly after she fell ill while attending a September 11th memorial service. She could be crazy, he said in a rally in 2016. She could actually be crazy. To defeat crime and radical Islam terrorism in our country, to win trade in our country, you need tremendous physical and mental strength and stamina. He said in Wisconsin of August of that year, Hillary Clinton doesn't have the strength and stamina. And that is what's good for the goose is good for the gander situation. If Trump can openly question the physical and the mental fitness of his Democratic opponents, then where there's a moment where he looks frail is absolutely fair game to ask the questions about his own well-being, particularly given his age and how little we know about his mental past. So yes, of course, the president tentative and slow walking down ramp is a story. Donald Trump made it into one. That's only one case. I mean, literally, Biden can't speak. And it's not like George Bush Jr. No, he's not a junior, but I'm calling him George Bush Jr. Couldn't speak, but that is more of the pressure getting to him for being the president of the United States during 9/11, a lot of Bushism. But he could still fly a jet at the time. Biden tells U.S. Air Force Academy graduates that their leadership is needed. Trips after speech. Unfortunately, it doesn't show the video. I'm going to Fox News just to show it. I mean, that doesn't speak confidence. And he trips over a bag right there. He points to it. So he doesn't have situation awareness. And this isn't the first time he's tripped. Let's see here. I was hoping that it showed the him tripping up stairs to the Air Force One. He didn't trip once, he didn't trip twice, but tripped 3 times. Colorado Springs, President Joe Biden Thursday thanked the Air Force Academy graduate for choosing their service over self, but said how it was a great privilege of leading the world that would only get more confusing in the years to come. His appearance was perpetrated by stumbling on stage after handing out diplomas to graduates. Graduates, he made a noble choice to lead a life of service, Biden told more than his 900 cadets in remark of the Sunsplash Field of the Falcon Stadium in Colorado. Now you're also shoulder a great privilege and mighty responsibility. Leadership. Yeah, leadership. In years ahead, you airmen and guardians are going to look to you for guidance and inspiration because the world is going to get more confusing. Why is the world going to get more confusing? They'll put their trust in you. You, in turn, must strive to always be worthy of their confidence. Near the end of the ceremony, the 80-year-old president turned to walk across the stage and tripped. He was helped by an Air Force officer, as well as 2 members of his U.S. Secret Service detail. Onlookers, including some members of the official delegate on stage, looked over in concern before Biden returned to his seat. As he got back on his feet, Biden pointed to the place on the stage where he lost his balance. He's fine, tweeted Ben LaBolt, the White House communication director. There was a sandbag on the stage while he was shaking hands. Situation awareness. We need our presidents, our leaders, to have some situation awareness. This isn't the first time he's looked like a fool, and this is probably the first time he's tripped on stage. But he is 80 years old. It's a year. During his speech, the president talked about how the U.S. had rallied Western nations to stand behind Ukraine against Russia and its efforts to enhance the deterrence into the Indo-Pacific region. He also expressed confidence that Sweden will become a NATO state. Sweden and Finland, both historically unaligned military, sought NATO membership after being rattled by Russian invasions of Ukraine. But Turkey, a NATO member, blocked both countries from joining the military alliance before agreeing to the membership of Finland while continuing to object to Sweden. But Biden said Sweden NATO membership will happen. I promise yet. Um, we'll go ahead and read Fox. Let's see here. Took a surprisingly tumble Thursday during the commencement ceremony of the U.S. Air Force Academy. The White House said Thursday the president tripped over a sandbag where he was not injured by the fall. Biden delivered the Air Force Academy commencement address earlier that day. He's fine. The sandbag was on stage. There was a sandbag on stage while he was shaking hands. The White House communication. Let's see here. Just showing pictures. Biden's fall Thursday comes about 2 years after he fell on the steps while boarding Air Force One at Joint Base Andrews, following the March 2021 falls in which Biden was filmed tripping on multiple steps. The White House said he was doing 100% fine and blamed the stumble on the gusty conditions. It was pretty windy outside. It's very windy. I almost fell coming up the steps myself. He said he's doing 100% fine. The White House press secretary, Karine Jean-Pierre, told reporters at the time nothing more than a misstep on stairs. The former White House communication director, Kate Bentley, added, "It's not about the fall, but watch his attempt to get up. He can't without assistance. This reminds me of my dad and my mother. Their balance when walking was so fragile. They tripped, they went down, and needed help getting back up. This is all due to decline in health." Let's see here. I give him a pass on the recovery. Getting up in a suit and tie and dress shoes and the public is challenging. The military dress blues or dresses are same caliber, to be honest. Now he gets explained for the rest of his term why he falls so much. Won't be the most exciting conversation, but that said, let's discuss Fetterman. Term limits should have solved that. Americans need to make better choices. Political office is physically and mentally demanding. We need to ask ourselves, can the people we elect be expected to be physically and cognitively well that they serve their terms and stop voting solely on party ID and platform? There's a health component to it as well. Did Trump really fall? Trump fell one time walking up the steps of Air Force One. The entire political spectrum, all MSN, including the ones that even Sports Network questions his ability to lead, demanding medical tests for cognitive ability, which were done. Let's see here. Biden has fallen on steps of the Air Force One several times, on stage several times, has fallen over a bicycle while standing up, shaking hands on stage with nobody. When asked if dead people were in the room, he needed cards and physical cues to answer one or two questions monthly, and nothing. Our nation media is propaganda and election meddling. That's it. Let's see here. I'm not a Biden supporter anyway, but here comes a but. The thought that because someone fell diminish their cognitive ability is not true. Biden is one of those people who can trip over their own feet, but it has no effect on the brain. I'm older than Mr. Biden. I frequently fall, mostly for no reason, but that doesn't decrease my mental abilities. The fact that you've fallen is because it's of a decrease of your mental abilities. Fall going upstairs, downstairs, I trip over my own feet. I've been that way my entire life. You cannot equate fall with one ability to think and reason just because a person's older doesn't make them any less able to do things. Let's see here. I mean, it's just, this is where we are. We have a president that continues to fall. We have a president that looks like he's lost most of the time. And people play cover for him. At what point do we tell our elected politicians, you're too old? I mean, you got Nancy Pelosi, you have Schumer, you have Nadler, you have Dianne Feinstein, you have, I think, Lindsey Graham, all getting up there in age. At what time do we tell these politicians it's time for you to retire? Because of your age. Your age is a national security risk, and for the president as well. I mean, he's just one trip away of going head first and bumping his head, becoming unconscious. Um, I don't have the answer. I just know we can't have our leaders making a tumble. We can't have our leaders constantly falling down, regardless of what party they're part of. I think it was actually Mitch McConnell that's old, not Lindsey Graham. I think Mitch McConnell's in his 50s or 60s. It's Mitch McConnell that's getting up there in age. We have an aging leadership issue, which most of our senior leaders that have been there the most are up there in age. And they're about one medical incident of becoming permanently retired. So I don't know if the we have to pass laws saying that there's an age limit. You can't be in politics if you're past the age of 70 or 65, or you can't run after that. I don't know. I mean, those are definitely possibilities. With that being said, that is my video for today. I'm not going to really make fun of President Biden. I just think he's not there, and it sucks that he thinks he could run for another 4 years. Hopefully, the Democratic Party picks someone else. Only time will see. But with that being said, that is my video for today, and hopefully, you all have a wonderful day, morning, or evening.